This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
Donald Trump did not put his hand on the Bible when he did his swearing in during the inauguration ceremony on Monday.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute.
that I will faithfully execute.
As he gave the oath of office, he did not place his hands on the Bible, as is traditionally done by most presidents.
Hello and welcome back to the Patchwork Podcast. So I went to DC this weekend for the inauguration, and it was such an insane experience, and I wanted to talk about the MAGA movement, what I truly thought about them after meeting so many of them in person, what I witnessed when Trump came after the inauguration in Capital One Arena, any protesters that we saw, and how I feel about having had voted for Trump after everything he did on his first day in office. And I kind of vlogged this experience, so it's kind of going to be me going back and forth between talking right here and everything that I vlogged. I am heading to DC. It's 7:53 a.m. I just got my London Fog and a juice because I had a gift card to a coffee shop. And it is an 11-hour drive, which is the longest drive I've ever done by myself, but I'm so excited. I decided to go last minute because my friend Mickey had extra tickets. We found out like a little bit around yesterday that they're moving the inauguration indoors, so if you had tickets already, you can't really use them anymore, which is really disappointing because I was like, oh my gosh, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and I was so excited to go for that reason. And now we don't have those tickets, but I'm still so excited to hang out with my friends and just to make the most of the situation, and I feel like it's still gonna be so cool. So I thought I would make a video while I'm in the car talking about why I voted for Trump, why I'm so excited about his inauguration and everything going on with that. So there were a few issues that were really important to me when I was voting. Number one was the border. I am all for immigration, legal immigration, and I think it's important that we cannot have a safe and successful country for people to get into without protecting our border and vetting the people coming through our border. We should welcome people with open arms, but we also need to be cautious as a country and protect our own, because how are we going to be able to serve others when our own house is falling apart? I heard this example one time. If your own house was on fire, would you go help your neighbors before you put the fire out at your own house, or would you put the fire out at your own house and then go help your neighbors? And that is exactly how I feel about America right now. We are funding so many wars across the world right now. We are letting illegal immigrants flood through our nation's borders. We are not helping the homeless population of America. We aren't giving the proper care to people that need help paying off medical bills. There are so many things we could do with the billions of dollars we have been sending to other countries that our country so desperately needs right now, like the wildfires in California. There are so many things right now that our country needs help with, and we are not doing nearly enough. We are caring about other countries before our own, and that is not the way it should be, especially if we want America to be the powerhouse of a country that it has supposedly always been. Then we need to really build back up our country, build back up the morale in America, build back trust in our country, make America healthy again, make our border strong. We need to get our finances in order. We need to get our economy back on track. There are so many things that we need to be doing right now rather than funding wars in other countries. The reason that I care so much about the border is not because I am racist. It's not because I don't want other people coming into America. It's not because I don't care about helping people that have less than me. None of those are the reasons at all. Another thing that I really care about is bringing America back to reality. What do I mean by that? We currently live in a society where majority of the Democrats that are voting on these decisions are voting that males should be allowed to compete in female sports, that males and females are virtually the same thing as long as you self-identify as a female, which is an absolutely absurd statement to make. And one of the things that makes the least amount of sense to me is this is coming from the party that has been the feminists, that have always stood up for women and for women's rights. And now we are putting males above women's rights, those rights that you fought for so long. It truly doesn't make any sense to me
We are convincing a generation of young children that going on cross-sex hormones and getting surgeries is the proper route to take care of your mental health. And if you don't do that, you are going to commit suicide. Another important thing for me is educating Americans on what medicine and what vaccines we are putting into our bodies and what is the true risk of that medicine and what is this vaccine really going to do? Have we fully tested this? Can it really do what we are telling you that it can do? And I really hope that RFK is going to be able to help us with that. I hope he's going to help make the food healthier in America. Another thing I truly care about so much is free speech and not censoring speech. And it has gotten to the point where you can hardly criticize gender ideology on TikTok without getting banned, without having multiple strikes put on your content. I mean, I've had it happen to me. I've had so many strikes put on my content for talking about gender ideology, for talking about the flaws within the BLM movement. Even how Mark Zuckerberg has recently talked about Meta censoring so much stuff during past elections, during COVID, and virtually lying to all of the Americans, censoring the truth just for the gain of one political party. That's absolutely absurd. America is about free speech and about meritocracy. We should be putting all ideas out on the table and letting everyone decide, letting the best argument win. I don't think we're doing that. I think we've lost so many of our values as a country. We are supposed to be one nation under God, and our country has strayed so far from God that I can't even explain it. It just kind of makes me sad, and I want us to come back to those values. Now, for the people that are going to say, well, is Trump really the best? If you want one nation under God, for all the cheating he's done, for all the allegations. I did not vote for Trump because I think that he is a stand-up man, because I think he's, an amazing father, or because I think he's made amazing decisions in his relational life. Those are not the reasons I voted for Donald Trump. I voted for what I believed is the lesser of two evils. I believe that he truly does care about free speech. I believe he knows how to run a country. I believe that he's going to restore reality in America and make us understand that males and females are not the same. There are so many things that are so much more important than what he does in his personal life. What I care about is, can you run the country properly? And Kamala Harris could not do that. And so that is why I'm voting for Trump. So long story short, this is why I'm so excited about the inauguration, because I feel like I've lost a lot of faith in America over these last 4 years. I've learned so much more about the government and who runs the government, and if they actually care about us, and that they're lying to us about so many things. I've learned that America isn't necessarily the country I always thought it was, but I still think it has so many amazing, beautiful qualities, and I think that we can redeem a lot of that in America, and I especially think that we're getting to a point in the culture war. I think something kind of funny to think about too is, like, a lot of people like to be a part of the rebellion, and for a long time being part of the rebellion was being part of the left, and the left was what was fighting for LGBTQ rights and for the minority groups, healthcare, and all these different things. But the left has strayed so far from what it used to be that now people are going, maybe let me see what's over on the right. Let me see what they have to offer, because they're not sounding quite as literally insane as the left is. And to be fair, not everybody on the left is like that at all. There are plenty of people on the left that still have old school left values. They understand that a lot of people in the Democratic Party that are in office have gone a little bit crazy in what they're fighting for. There's a lot of people on the left that still are tethered to reality. But I'm talking about the left as a whole and what we're really seeing coming out of that party right now. So just kind of it makes me excited for what's in the future for America, and I have a lot of hope. The reason this is all 10 times more exciting to me maybe than it would be to someone else is I don't keep up with celebrity culture. I don't know movies all that well. There's a lot of super well-known celebrities. I've never heard of them in my life. I don't care about them at all. But a lot of these people that will be in DC this weekend are conservative influencers that I love, that I follow, that I watch a lot. They're politicians that I think are really cool and should be really well respected. And so I'm just really excited about this experience overall, because I'm meeting people that I actually look up to, rather than celebrities that are just famous off of, being really amazing actors, or they're just like famous for being rich or for their music or whatever it is. These people are famous for their minds and for their bravery and for their talent in the political realm. And so I'm so excited.
So that Sunday being there was a Trump rally. We got up very early. We were staying in Baltimore, so we were about an hour away. So I want to say we got there around 8 a.m. to start standing in line. And doors did not open until 1, and Trump was not going to be there until 3. So it was the coldest weather I've ever experienced in my entire life. It was snowing, hailing, and raining. My feet felt like they were going to never work again. I was so cold. I cannot explain to you how freezing it was. But everybody just had such a positive attitude. They were so sweet. We made friends in line with the people standing in front of us. It was this couple. They were from California. They were amazing. They were so funny. Everybody just was having such a great time in line. And I want to say around hour 6 or 7, where we were nearing the end of it, it was a pretty single file line. On my watch, it said we'd gone 5 miles that day of line. There was thousands upon thousands and thousands of people out there just hoping for the chance to get to hear Donald Trump speak in person. When we got to the end of the line, so it was like zigzag, zigzag, all around these buildings, all through DC. We get to the end where it should be the end, and you turn around this building, and it is just a massive group of people. It goes from the straight line to just a huge group of people, and people start kind of running towards the front. All these people are cutting in line. People are kind of starting to fight because they're like, why the heck are you cutting me in line? I've been out here in the freezing cold temperatures for 8 hours, and you think you can just cut right through? People were kind of getting feisty. It got to a point where we were really nervous about the safety of it all, just because we'd heard so many different things about different threats to our level of safety. And so we decided at that point to opt out of the rally, which was really disappointing. We'd also heard that they closed the doors at that point because it was 3 and Kid Rock was already playing. And so we were just kind of like, we probably missed our chance here, which was really unfortunate.
I mean, if you just look at the targeting of children in America, you can see that God was never in the picture the last 4 years.
We are currently waiting inside at a restaurant to try to warm up because it's so freezing out.
It's snowing
And it is,
11, almost noon,
it's almost noon. They're opening doors at 1.
hopefully. But then we're like wrapped around blocks.
Yeah, it's like lines wrapped around. Everybody's been so nice. It's very diverse, lots of supporters.
And even when they do open the doors, we'll be waiting for another like hour probably to
Yeah,
get in.
it's freezing.
Update, I asked for coffee to go.
When we are walking around getting to the rally, there are signs outside that say racists go home, fascists go home, transphobes go home. There's one that says climate deniers get out of DC, and there's a photo of Donald Trump and Elon Musk calling them Nazi fascists. Be so for real right now. If there was a Nazi fascist running around, you really think those signs are going to be up? Be so for real. They're absolutely, you guys are so exaggerative and ridiculous. I mean, when I saw those signs, it's funny to me at this point. It's so funny how much the left has lied and how much propaganda they push, calling the conservative party Nazis, Hitler, and fascists.
Guys, there's literally leftist propaganda everywhere that we're going. That chair over there was.
My friend had gone to DC before this event a few months ago and said that it literally looked like communist China there because of all of the Kamala Harris propaganda stuff that was out. There was like photos of her on every pole, on every wall. It was everywhere. It had all been ripped down by the time we got there, which I just thought was so funny. Another thing that I have to critique MAGA on. When we were in line, there were some protesters that were calling us Hitler or something. I don't know, whatever they always call us. Whatever. Let them protest. Let them be idiots. Let them make a fool out of themselves. They're the ones making themselves look stupid. If we don't respond and if they have any questions or want to talk and we respond with love and kindness and there's no problems there, that's the best way to bring somebody over to your side. That's the best way to deal with hate. There was some of the MAGA people in line that someone had like a sign or something that had the grab 'em by the quote on it, okay? And somebody started yelling back and was like, did he touch you? Show me where he touched you, which was just weird and gross. And then I didn't hear this part, but my friend in line heard someone in line behind us. There was 2 black guys that were really pissed off because they were saying they were trying to get to work. They were like, we're not cutting in line. We're trying to get out of our apartment to work. This line's blocking everything. This is so annoying. Fed up, and they were kind of trash talking or whatever. And the guy behind us called them from the jungle or something and was like, go back to the jungle. I'm sorry, have you lost your mind? You do not talk to people like that. What in the world? In general, I felt like the MAGA movement was very respectful. Everybody was very kind. It was good, hardworking people, tons of Californians I met. They literally just wanted to restore faith in our country. They wanted to protect our border. They wanted to fix the economy. They felt like Donald Trump really gave them hope. Like, these were just good, hardworking American citizens. But I'm also not going to defend the MAGA movement just because I feel like I'm part of it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, everybody was so amazing, because there were some people online that were acting very rude, even to one another. There were people that were cutting in line, and people were getting so pissed and being so rude, started yelling at each other and like all this stuff, which, yeah, you shouldn't be cutting the line. It's so rude for people that have been waiting there for 8 hours. There was just some of that stuff where people were acting very childish. But once again, overall, it was very amazing, very encouraging. Everybody was very nice.
So we went back to our Airbnb and got ready for the Power 30 party, which was an event which was just a bunch of conservative influencers. And that was really cool. I'm not going to lie, I was expecting it to be more of a networking event with low, fun music playing and food and drinks. And it was more of kind of walking into a club, and the music was so loud. And I was thinking, am I getting old? I used to be able to go out to clubs and have a good time and, you know, have the time of my life. But now I'm like, this music is so loud, I can't even hear what you're saying next to me. And I thought it was going to be more of a networking event, and it wasn't. But it was a very cool experience, and I'm very glad we got to go to it and meet so many amazing people and just get to talk with people and just kind of have a good time. That was really cool to experience. But then we went back to the Airbnb. We got back around 1 and immediately went to sleep. We were exhausted at this point. We set our alarms for 3:30 in the morning, left the Airbnb by 4:15, got to DC and stood in line around 5:15. Doors didn't open till 8 a.m. and we did not get into Capital One Arena until 9:30 a.m. This day was more miserable than the last when I was outside for 8 hours. I thought I was going to die. I got to a point in line where I was like, guys, I have to tap out. I'm going to Starbucks. Find me there. You guys make it. I'm rooting for you guys. And we'd become friends with the people in line in front of us the day before, and we got their numbers, and we met up in line with them the next day. And so we were all rallying together. Everyone in line. People were so dedicated to this. I don't think people were that dedicated to Kamala. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But people were dedicated to get in. We got into this one, and I was so happy. The food inside the arena was absurdly expensive, absolutely insane prices, worse than any hockey game or football game I've ever witnessed in my life. And we were just de-thawing in the arena all morning. They brought in a ton of amazing speakers. It was so cool to hear that. And then they start playing the inauguration on the screen. That was such an amazing experience to witness on a huge screen, but with a whole group of people that were all in support of the same thing. It was really refreshing because you don't always see that being a Trump supporter with people around you. It's one of those things where you're like, all right, I'm voting for Trump. Are you voting for Trump? Oh my gosh, no way. It's not a thing where everyone's just, rallying together all around you all the time in support of Donald Trump. It's just not like that. And so it was very refreshing to be around people that kind of all just did believe the same thing as me. I love being around people that have different thoughts and beliefs than me, but it's also really refreshing to be around people that have your beliefs, values, and morals. That was very amazing to witness. Melania Trump and Ivanka Trump looked dressed to the nines, absolutely beautiful and amazing, and it felt like class is being restored in America. They looked like the royal family to me. It was beautiful. All of Trump's children and grandchildren were so well behaved, but was also so refreshing was JD Vance and Usha Vance. Their little kids were there with them, and it was very heartwarming to see. They were just your normal little kids, they were getting distracted so easily. They were grabbing on their mom and dad, and Usha's trying to control the kids, but she looks so happy and so sweet and so supportive the entire time. She looks like one of the most amazing women ever just by watching her demeanor the entirety of the event. I love her already. I've never even heard her speak. One of the things I want to talk about is how everybody was freaking out about Donald Trump not putting his hand on the Bible. Now, I noticed this whenever it happened because they were having it up on this huge screen in Capital One Arena. And I thought it was really weird. And as a Christian, I at first was like, that's rude. Like, I feel like there's a lot of disrespect towards Christians watching this, Why is he not putting his hand over the Bible? That's a sign of respect to God and to your country. And it's what you do when you want to keep your promise. I agreed with people. Why did he not put his hand on the Bible? That's really weird.
Donald Trump did not put his hand on the Bible when he did his swearing in during the inauguration ceremony on Monday.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
As he gave the oath of office, he did not place his hands on the Bible, as is traditionally done by most presidents, but he also wasn't the first president not to do so. Other presidents, such as Calvin Coolidge and John Quincy Adams, also have not used a Bible in their oath of office. And actually, the Constitution holds that only the words that are said during the inauguration ceremony have to be said when the president swears into office. There is no actual thing in the Constitution that says that a Bible must be used.
But I follow Allie Beth Stuckey, and if you don't follow her, she just posts really amazing content about politics and about the Bible and Christianity. And she is so well versed on the Bible, better than I probably ever will be in my entire life. So I very much trust her opinion on these things. So I wanted to play a video of her talking about it because it changed my perspective. And I will say I was one of the people that thought it was absolutely ridiculous whenever Kamala Harris put her hand over the fake purse Bible. Thought it was very disrespectful, regardless of if you were supposed to put your hand over the Bible or not. I thought that was incredibly disrespectful to have a fake Bible. But here's what Allie Beth Stuckey had to say about it.
Were pressed because Trump's hand was not on the Bible. People were saying, oh, this must mean something, this is bad. But in reality, it is not required for you to put your hand on the Bible. I don't think he's signifying anything. Actually, like if you watch the video of this happening, it was a little rushed. You could tell Melania was trying to get up by him, and Chief Justice Roberts started reading the oath before Melania was right there. And so I think it was just a rushed situation. And I don't think that there's any significance there because, again, it's not necessarily a rule. And the fact that they provided their own family Bible means that they did care about that it was important to them, even if it was just symbolic. I mean, they thought about that. They brought the Bible. If they didn't care at all, they wouldn't have provided a family Bible.
So after kind of watching that and seeing some other scripture that people have posted about not swearing on the Bible, how we're not supposed to swear and all these different things, it's kind of changed my perspective on it. It's still something that I'm finding a little weird just because that's how it's always supposed to be in my brain, but I think she provides a really good perspective to that. The inauguration happens, and after the inauguration happens, they have the luncheon, and then they come over to Capital One Arena, and we're all stoked at this point. We've been there all day. It's 5 p.m. when Donald Trump gets there. Before he comes in, they bring in Elon Musk, they bring in some other politicians, they bring in Charlie Kirk, which I was like, Charlie, I freaking love Charlie Kirk.
That God created man and woman. There are no other genders besides that. No more critical race theory or diversity, equity, inclusion.
I don't really love Elon Musk just because I'm so suspicious about his whole transhumanist agenda, but it was very cool to see him speak, and I love how much he values free speech. I want to talk about the whole Nazi salute that everybody is alleging that he did. Let me explain. From being there and witnessing not just one camera angle, but the entirety of the event, he walks in, he's dancing, he's so excited, he looks very nervous. He also has Asperger's, which I want to put out there, which makes social interactions a little bit more difficult for individuals that have that. And he comes out there, he's giving a speech, he does an amazing job, and he's saying, I'm giving my heart. He's basically thanking people from the bottom of his heart and putting it out to us, saying like, thank you from the bottom of my heart. When he does it, it looks weird. It looks like a Nazi salute. I'm not going to sit here and deny it. That's not what he was doing. It was a weird gesture, and that was literally the entirety of the situation. People immediately ran with it, pulling it out of context. I watched it, and I remember it happening and being like, that was a weird gesture, but I didn't think anything weird of it because it was very clear in the context of his speech, not some random little clip that CNN took out of place.
This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
It's very clear he's saying thank you from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and giving his heart out to the people that are there to support them. So I just want to say it was completely ridiculous that people were taking it so far out of context like that. Charlie Kirk did an amazing job speaking. They were both very quick speeches. And then they all come in. And that was so fun to watch Trump coming down the steps in Capital One Arena. He is shaking every person's hand. He's saying, you know, how are you? What's your name? He's shaking every person's hand as he's come down, having little conversations, being so intentional with everyone. And then Melania comes down and she looks gorgeous, amazing. And it's just, It's so refreshing to watch. And they come in, he gives his speech. The speech was so well put together. He doesn't need some teleprompter telling him everything he needs to say. He's such a great public speaker. Everybody's so excited.
We're all sitting in there. It goes dead silent in there, and you hear someone shouting, "Free, free Palestine!" I cannot explain, though, how nerve-wracking that is, because if you could see the level of security that was in that place. There was United States Secret Service, there was military people, there was regular police officers, there was regular security everywhere across the building. My friend said they could see the shadow of snipers up on the roof. The nerves were very heightened. So you hear somebody, "Free, free Palestine!" I'm like, holy crap, is there someone about to throw a bomb at this place? And I mean, the security was on it immediately. They're rushing over every camera from the press station right over to the Free Palestine person. They pull her out. That part was just very nerve-wracking in general, because anytime somebody would randomly shout, even if it was a Trump supporter and they're like, "Go Trump," you cannot fully hear what they are saying, and you hear someone shout really loud, your body drops for a second, your heart drops for a second, because you're like, holy crap, is somebody about to like shoot someone or throw a bomb in here? Goodness, we were safe. The security was so detailed. I've talked about this before. I don't really know what my position is on the war going on in the Middle East. I truly do not know enough to have a genuine opinion on it and to have a well-informed opinion on it. So all I ever say about it is I know that the Bible tells us Israel is a country we need to stand behind. There's that part of it as a Christian. I also think that genocide is wrong, regardless of whose side it is, whether it is Hamas or whether it is Israel. I also understand that in war, you might have to retaliate to show them like who's in charge, but I don't think you should be doing it so hard, because I'm like, not to the citizens, but with the people that are fighting the war, not with the citizens. Honestly, I'm just gonna sound like an idiot if I try to give an opinion on it. So anyways, I think that genocide is bad, no matter who's committing the genocide. I literally don't have a side in all of this. I just truly hope for the good of everyone in this world that it is able to truly be dealt with and to be done with. But I know from the history of people in the Middle East, that's probably not likely. And that's all I'll say about that. Feel free to share more about your opinions and beliefs, because I don't know a lot. It's a very confusing war to me, and I don't want to give my opinion on things that I really don't know a lot about. First of all, they said online no purses, but then it said only purses this size or something. I think it said that. I didn't bring my purse because I was like, you know what? I wanted to bring my camera and photograph everything. I wanted to photograph the protesters, the supporters, the entire event. I brought my camera the day we waited 8 hours in line, and I took maybe one photo because I could barely move my fingers from how cold it was. And I was like, this is pointless. I can't even pull my hand out and use the camera. So I didn't bring it in because I was also afraid that they were going to be like, you have to leave your camera, you can't get in, and we were going to be waiting in line for so long that I did not want to risk it. And so I didn't bring it in. And then I didn't bring my purse in. But they were making everybody leave their purses outside. They were like, you can't bring purses in. There were Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all the nice purses literally strode out everywhere because everyone was leaving them and hoping they'd be able to get their purses after. There was garbage everywhere. The crowd control, not fully on it, I will say. At least the day of the rally, they did a lot better the day of the inauguration.
Look at this. You are not allowed anything other than yourself, essentially, into this building. We're told no bags, you got to empty your pockets. So look what's happening. People are leaving their purses, emptying them, taking their cash out, taking whatever they can with them, but then leaving stuff on the ground. Brooks, come on over here. This is a Louis Vuitton purse over here. People are leaving book bags. I found some Lululemon book bags over here as well, and handbags, because again, you're not allowed anything you're not allowed to bring anything in Capital One Arena.
I feel like I saw maybe one trash can the entire time we were in the city. I don't even know how they keep this city clean with how much trash there was. People that worked in the restaurants were very rude. I'd be like, oh, like, how are you doing? It'd just be the kind of thing where they wouldn't respond and would ignore you. And then I'd be like, oh, thank you so much. And they're like, okay. And maybe it's just I'm not used to people outside of the Southern hospitality realm. Another thing I will say is when I voted for Trump in 2020, it was, I agree with your policies. I like you better than Joe Biden. I didn't feel like there was that much of a connection there, like he's really all that great of a person. This time around, you could tell after the assassination attempt, he is different. He truly captivated the crowd. He came and felt so caring. He brought all of the family members of hostages in Israel. He invited all of them onto stage, shook every single one of their hands, truly just being very caring, and it was so refreshing. He seemed like such a different person this time around, and Americans clearly felt so different about him this time around. It was so cool to witness how many people were there and how many people were there and excited to wait in hours and hours and hours of line just to maybe get the chance to hear Donald Trump speak in person. People literally camped out and slept outside of Capital One Arena to be there for the inauguration in 15 below weather when it's snowing and hailing outside. Nobody gave a crap. Everybody was like, no, I don't care how long I'm waiting in this line. Like, I'm waiting out here. I'm seeing Donald Trump speak. Other thing that we need to talk about. Donald Trump, I don't know if a president has ever done this in history, but he did not just go sign some executive orders in the Oval Office. He brought them to the post-inauguration rally that we were at. He signed them on stage in front of everyone, which also his signature is so cool, which is just a side note. I have a new MAGA hat. I've never had a MAGA hat and I've always wanted one, and I got one and it has his signature on it, and I think it's awesome. He signed them right then and there, showing we are getting crap done. I know that the last administration didn't do anything over the last 4 years productive whatsoever. They lied to you about who was in charge. There's a bunch of bureaucrats in DC. He got up there and he's like, look, we're not doing this crap anymore. He signed an executive order, and I will leave in the clips of some of the executive orders that he signed because it was so powerful to sit there and watch those physically get signed and then him throw the markers out to people sitting in the audience that he signed with.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so.
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately. We have a directive to every department and agency in the federal government to address the cost of living crisis that has cost Americans so dearly. The next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty.
On his first day in office, he signed over 200 executive orders getting stuff started.
So thank you so much for coming to the Patchwork Podcast. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify. We are also on Instagram and TikTok, so make sure to check everything out on there. And I appreciate you guys watching.